Welcome to the Tag Team Talk Show. Introducing your hosts, Cybermat and the Phenomenal One.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tag Team Talk Show. This is episode 2. We figured we'd do another one. I enjoyed the first one enough. I figured we'd do another one.
Yeah, it was good. The first episode I felt went really well. May have went on a little bit longer than we thought we were originally planning on going, but hell, it was amazing. It was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the feedback I got, because my mum decided to watch the whole thing.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she's got no interest in wrestling whatsoever, but she was like, yeah, I'll give it a watch. And she went, it's 3 hours long. I was like, yes, it's a bit long.
Just a bit.
But yeah, she watched it. She said she enjoyed it. Like she said, we did a good job of like not talking over each other and stuff, and let each other have opportunities to talk. And I was like, yeah, it was good.
That's the main thing. And again, I got a little bit of feedback from people in my community as well, which, once again, if they are listening to this week's episode, shout out to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And again, if you have any questions that you want us to ask each other, feel free to let us know in DMs. I am going to make a social media page as well for us, so you can directly DM us or ask the questions at your own will. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some of that stuff in the works, haven't we?
Yes.
We've sort of talked about the idea of doing the recordings live and things like that. But same though, the feedback I've gotten has generally been really positive. Like, there's not been anyone that's been like, oh shit, don't do anymore. Which is
that's a good sign. It's always a good sign.
Yeah, but I don't know, it's part of me just like, I want a bit of hate. I want a bit of heat on it.
Let's turn hill midway through.
Yeah, exactly. But it's been really positive, and genuinely, it's one project I've done that's, I don't know, just everything just seems to like be going off without a hitch, and we're getting good views. The view time on it's pretty good. I saw her on Spotify on the podcast thing on there, because to start with, we weren't showing up when people searched, and I was like, oh, that's not great.
Outrageous.
People can't actually find it. But now all I need to do is put the tag. Top result.
There you go. More reason to find us.
Exactly. And I think I saw on there that just through that alone, I think we've reached like, I don't know, I think it was like 100, 140 people. That doesn't mean
really?
Doesn't mean they've all listened to it, mind, but they've seen it.
They've seen it, and that's all that matters. We're in their heads.
Exactly. We're living rent free now. But yeah, how's your week been? Anyway, Reese, you had a good week?
Yeah, it's been good. Been busy. I've been working. Started a new job earlier this month. It wasn't even last month. So just getting into the swing of that. Been listening to music, playing games, everything in between, really.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yes, I mean, it's my second week back at work. As people probably know, I've had some bad health and stuff like that, but it's my second week back, so I'm, again, similar to you, like to try to get back into the swing of it again, and yeah, it's been alright. Like I said, similar to you, playing games, listening to music, checked out a bunch of new music that I haven't had an opportunity to listen to yet. But you said you listened to the Alpha Wolf album, didn't you? You said you were a fan.
Yeah, so I'm a massive fan of Alpha Wolf. The singles they've released so far, I've loved every single one of them. Bring Back the Noise was a massive hit in my eyes. Like, it threw me off completely. I was like, yeah, this is what they're coming in with. I cannot wait. And then listening to the album, I was a bit like, it's good. Like, I don't mind it, but it's not anything like their earlier stuff. I don't want to be that fan where it's like, they've changed. I don't like that, because bands are going to change. They're going to find their own ways, their own rhythm and rhyme. And hell, if it's not my favourite album, it might be somebody else's. But again, I think it's good, but it's not for me. I'll probably listen to it again to give it another shot, because the last time I was listening to it, I had a bunch of people listening to their own music in the background. So it was one of them ones I was listening to Grime and then Alpha Wolf, and it was a bit yeah.
Yeah, I there's never any good time, is there? For anyone else is listening to music around you and you've got your own on, it's just not a good time. But I'm kind of with it. I think it's okay. Like, I think the album as a whole is a bit mid. Like, it's okay. There's some good songs on it. But it's no Quiet Place to Die. which
I
is
agree.
easily my favourite album of theirs. But have you listened to the Ghost Inside one yet? Because I haven't.
So I've listened to about 4 of the songs. Again, not the best album from the Ghost Inside. It's good, but I was expecting a little bit more. I love the band. Again, I have a very good connection with the lead singer. But it's just not. It's good. It's good. Not my favorite album from the Ghost Inside, but it's not my least favorite album.
Yeah.
Of the Ghost Inside.
That's kind of the sentiment that I've been seeing online. But I'm just kind of glad that they're still making music. Like after everything that they've been through, like just so happy for them that they're still actually out there doing stuff. I've had a bit of a weird relationship with the Ghost Inside. I've literally had tickets to see them like 4 times. The first time, like literally 2 days before I was supposed to see them, is when they had the bus accident. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm not seeing them now. And then I had tickets to see them. I've actually got the ticket on my board, even though I've never actually went
Used
to
it.
But that was literally, I think it was like 2 weeks before COVID as well. And I was just like, oh. And it's just kind of, they're like this red herring band now, where I just think I'm just never actually going to be able to see them. So,
Yeah, I'm sure we will do. I'm sure you will do. They are a great band live. Again, amazing energy. I have a lot of respect for the band, as you quite rightly said,
yeah.
for being in a life-changing accident, the band potentially never being on a stage again, to pumping out new music and touring the world. It's great. Again, I have nothing but respect for that band.
100%.
And yeah, I'm hoping they do another tour this year, but they've done 2 last year
Oh, okay.
in the UK. I know they're doing Slam Dunk Festival.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, end of May, which I want to go to, but the price tag's not there for me at the moment.
Yeah.
And the transport down to London to then go out of London, and then food prices at a festival. Like, I love festivals. I'm sounding like a big bitch because I know I've been going to them for years. I've been going to them for over like 10 years now, so I know what I'm going in for. But you know, when you're a little bit younger and then you don't really have a care in the world, you're like, yeah, £20 for a burger, fantastic, I'll buy that. And then you're like, oh, 40 quid for a hoodie. Well, again, this is going 10 years ago when 40 quid was actually reasonably cheap for a hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, it's great. Now, I'm 31, I'm a dad, I go to these festivals, I'm like, how much is a pint?
That's the trouble.
£8-9? No, thank you. I have a bottle of water. Is that free? No? Okay, I'll just give me a tap.
I think that's the trouble. Like nowadays, especially with gigs and stuff, like usually the only place that is local to me and isn't local to me at all that actually has gigs I want to see is London. So
Yeah.
if I want to see it, that means I got to do hotel, and then I got to do travel, and then I end up kind of going, well, it's going to cost me like 400 or 500 quid just to go see one show. And I go, do I like this band that much? Do I like them 400 or 500 quid's worth?
Exactly. And at that point, you might as well just look at doing like download or a festival, because if you're paying 400 or 500 quid for that price, you can get a 5-day ticket at Download Festival. Bear in mind, 2 of the days you're just plottering about, just getting drunk in a field. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a key thing. I feel like if you haven't done a major festival where you have to camp, and you don't camp, you're not doing it right. Because I've been trying so hard to get my partner to go to a festival, and she's like, let's get a hotel. I'm like, nope. I'm like, nope, we will trench the muds, and I do not care if it rains, we have to persevere. And she's like, I'm not doing it then. So I was like, okay, fine, I guess not then.
Yeah, I haven't done a festival for years. Literally, I think the last festival I did was, I think I did Reading in 2010.
Oh,
That was the last time I did it. But Blink 182 were main on Sunday, and that was pretty good. But
is that the one where it was like the first time Tom came back to the band?
no, I think this was like just before it all properly kicked off with them.
Okay.
But he
Trying to
was
think.
wasted during that, so just like off his nut the whole time.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna have to quickly look at Redding's lineup in 2010, because I think I might have been at that one as well.
It wasn't bad. I remember I saw Gallows at Lockup, and that was phenomenally good. Yeah, I'd done
Does this
Festival
sound-
for years.
Paramore. No, I actually didn't do that one. No, I didn't.
It was a good lineup that year.
I think I contemplated it because I saw that Pendulum on the Saturday, but then oh god, Lost Prophets were there. Jesus
Yep.
fuck. let's move on. Let's move on from Reading Festival.
Yeah, let's. They're not a band that ever existed. Do not Google
No.
them under any circumstances. Let's move on.
No,
Yeah, should we talk about some wrestling? Let's talk
let's
about
do
some
it.
wrestling.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so my first interaction with wrestling this week usually is I watched Raw. I thought it was pretty
Yep.
good. I feel like
Yeah,
this should have been the Raw after Mania.
I agree. This is exactly what I said to you. We kind of discussed a bit about this last week. I just felt last week's Raw was very lackluster in the aspect of it was the first Raw back, and we had no returns. We had no heel turns, no nothing.
Yeah.
This week, Raw packed the fuck out. Like they came in hard and fast.
100%.
What did we have? We had Sheamus's return, which I felt was great.
Yeah.
We had the titles presented to Awesome Truth. Although I'm gonna say this, I'm not a fan of the Raw ones. I love the SmackDown ones.
What?
Don't like the Raws.
I think they're great. I think they
Nah,
look
Raw-
good.
Raws looks like an oven pizza. And I hope people have that image in their head, and every time they look at them titles and they go, yeah, that looks like one of them Aldi pizzas that you get for like 50p.
I don't
It
know
looks
if I
like
could
a
better run
pizza.
to see it now, to be quite honest.
Yep, you are welcome. You are very welcome.
I thought they looked good. I thought it was. They kind of look like. I don't know. They look like they've got this like glass covering. I don't know. When I looked at them, it just when I saw it, it just looked like they had some sort of like plastic dome over it or something. But I liked them. I thought they looked quite good. They're better than
And
what we
then-
had.
And then the other thing, which I'm happy kind of happened, Chad Gable heel turn.
I think it was always on the cards though. Like, it's not like him and Sammy were like best buds, is it? Like they did
No.
a little training thing together, but there was never any like, oh, you're my best friend of all time. To be quite honest.
True. So what do you want to touch on first? Should we go with the titles because that was the first?
Yeah, we can touch on titles first.
Yeah.
I like I said, I really like him. I don't get
Oh,
the hate.
actually, there was one other thing. Rhea Ripley had to relinquish the title.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
made me sad.
I don't think though they've kind of set it up that it's like Liv Morgan that's done the injury. I don't think that's the case. I think it's likely going to be that issue that she had going into Mania with her wrist.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. So I believe the accident though it was through the Liv Morgan incident from backstage.
Right.
It's just when she hit the wall at a very dodgy angle, and I believe it fractured. I think it's a fracture. I'm not too sure. I should have really looked this up, but yeah, it injured the injury that she had, which she's been
Right. That makes
working with for
sense.
months and months now. So
I mean, that whole segment though, I thought when Liv chucked the chair at her, she came in hot. I was like, that's
Yeah.
the rim of the chair that just smacked her in the head. I was like, do you actually not like this person?
yeah. That stunned me. I was like, oh my god, I ain't seen WWE throw a chair like that since Sabu
No.
was a part of WWE.
No, I mean, with all, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, yes, it makes sense though. The whole CTE
Yeah.
thing and stuff, like head chair shots, should not be a part of wrestling because they are bad.
Yep.
But I felt really bad for Rhea. Like, she's kind of at her peak now of popularity.
Yeah,
And to have to walk away. I kind of appreciated though that it wasn't like this proper soppy, like, oh, I'll be back, guys, I love you all. Like, they kept
Yeah.
it in character. You know, I came off of that like, yeah, when you do come back, Rick, you will tear the house down. You will come
Yeah.
back for blood.
I agree. I think they kept the Rhea Ripley character very, very ideal in the aspect of she's standing her ground. She's like, I ain't giving this up. It will be mine again. And again, will I be angry if Rhea comes back and wins the title again and holds it for another 4 or 5 months? Not really. I actually think Rhea is one of the best women wrestlers in WWE at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
There is another one that I would touch up on, but I'll talk about that when we get onto SmackDown.
Yeah.
But Rhea, honestly, has been a working horse. Maybe not at the beginning when she won the title last Mania. I think there's like a month or two where she just really didn't do anything with the title, and she was in like squash matches against like not Naomi. What's her name? Natalia. There we go.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like the odd 1 or 2 squash matches that she had with them, and then she's come I felt like the past 5 months has been like the best that she's been in a very long time, and I don't know if that's because Hunter's been running the show, like in the aspect of he's been driving that division a little bit better than it has been.
Yeah.
Still not in a particular place that I want it to be, but it's a lot better than it once was.
I would say though, to get it to where it needs to be, and this isn't shade to like anybody that's on the roster, but I think the talent that's there is good, but I think the top talent's really good, but like I'd say like the mid card of the women's division and like the lower card is kind of on that end. I don't necessarily think that everybody there at the moment on the women's division is, again, this isn't me throwing shade, but I don't think they're necessarily good enough or developed enough to be pushing that way.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple, like Liv Morgan's over. If Alexa Bliss does come back.
I think, although I'm not the biggest fan of Naomi's work, she definitely is a top contender for like a title run again. Like she was amazing SmackDown champion. But yeah, I agree. There is a lot of talent that WWE have that they haven't fully like clicked with. I feel like wrestlers like Chelsea Green, she's slept upon.
Yeah,
because her character's amazing, but her in-ring ability compared to her character, they kind of like...
Yeah.
Character-wise, 10-10. It's amazing. She's like your typical Karen. I want to speak to the management. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But wrestling ability, I'm like, she's good, but it's not for me, personally.
Yeah, and I think I kind of feel that way about a couple of people. I think, like Tiffy Time, I think she's quite good, but I don't vibe with that character, like,
really?
at all.
Okay, so she was the one that I was going to say I feel like's really come up since...
She's good. Like, by no means was I saying that, like, I don't think that what she does is good or anything like that. I think she'd be a very good heel, but in terms of what that character is, I just don't vibe with it.
That's
really.
fair. That's fair.
But yeah, like I said, I just feel bad for Rhea, like having to step away at this point. Like I say, when she's at the point where she's at the peak of how big she's been, and then having to walk away like that, it must suck.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think they've really given any time frame as to how long she will be off. I think they just kind of said some months, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they said 3 to 4 months she could be out.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
so again, it kind of sucks when you've had people like Roman that have held the title for so long and been a part-time champ. Why didn't she get to at least hold the title whilst being injured? But again, I feel like now that they've gotten rid of the long streaks, like we haven't got Gunther anymore, we haven't got Roman, they're trying to push for that whole new development aspect to it. So I feel like if they made her hold on to a title that you got a load of women wrestlers that are just fighting for nothing, it kind of just makes it a bit irrelevant.
Yeah, and I think as well, from what I've sort of thought the last few weeks, is that they're actually trying to have a lot more title matches on like Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that, so that although we know that the title's not really going to change hands on a SmackDown or a
You
Raw
never know.
You never know.
You never know.
But like, there's always that thought that they might, and you can't have that thought that they might if they don't actually put those matches on. So that's something that I think they just couldn't really put it on Rhea and keep it on her, because then you're essentially just taking a title away from a product for an extended period of time. But, you know, all the well wishes to Rhea. I hope she does get back to it sooner rather than later, because I just enjoy seeing her in WWE. She's good.
Yep. Again, I agree. Top talent. Definitely a money bringer into the company. Yeah, I hope she comes back soon and comes back stronger.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know, isn't it, without what's going on behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
just hope she does. Did you want to move on to the tag titles next, Sam?
Yeah, we can do. Again, I made my views very clear on it. The pizza title, as I'm going to call it
Pizza
from now
title.
on. The Chuck E. Cheese title, for all you Americans out there. But yeah, again, Awesome Truth, still tag champs. They had, what was it, a triple threat match on Raw for the title, for the number one contenders match.
Yeah, I think so.
And the team that I felt like deserved the titles at Mania are having their title match, I believe, this week on Raw. So we're getting DIY versus Awesome Truth for the tag team titles. I'm kind of hoping Awesome Truth. Well, I hope Awesome Truth lose again. No offense to them. That again, both amazing workhorses for the WWE. They got their moment, but I don't see them moving any further.
No.
If they want to keep them as like a gimmicky tag team, sure. What I would say is make DIY turn heel, but
Yeah.
then I feel like that kind of sabotages what they've kind of brought with the Awesome Truth and the aspects of the whole like DX package that they're going with. So unless they kind of go full throttle with it and be like heel DX, then I think it'd be a cool aspect. But I really hope Awesome Truth lose.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And I quite like Awesome Truth in a weird way. I find R-Truth really funny. I don't know why. He just tickles me. It was the bit when he kept saying that Triple H was actually
Tommaso
Tommaso.
Ciampa.
And then as soon as Tommaso came out, it's like, that man's Triple H. I was just like,
It's so good. It's so
funny.
good. Again, like I've seen like interviews with R-Truth on like, I think it was Bubba Ray's podcast.
yeah.
And he comes on without a t-shirt, and they're like, "Can you put some clothes on?" He goes, "Well, I ain't got any pants on either," and he just like starts dancing in his boxers. It's like,
I
like-
appreciate his commitment to the gimmick.
yeah, he I don't even think it's a gimmick. I just think he's a bit like that. I like normal. It's like
Yeah.
off screen and on screen. He's like it. So yeah, I like Awesome Truth. I like the Miz in the aspect of he's a great workhorse for the company, and R-Truth deserves his moment with the tag titles, because at least it's not the 24/7 European Intercontinental Hardcore title that he called it.
Yeah, and I don't think they hold it for long. Even if they don't lose Monday, I think they'll probably lose it at Backlash if they do it at Backlash as well.
Yeah, if they have a title match at Backlash.
I kind of figured they were just going to save this match for Backlash, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
so was I.
but like I said, it's nice though to see that they're actually putting title matches on the weekly shows now.
I agree.
It's hard to say, but I can't see them dropping them on Raw. I really can't. They might, but who knows?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Very true. But yeah, just to touch on the titles again, though, like they are infinitely better than what we had before, though. I hated
don't
those
know.
ones. I thought they were awful.
I didn't like him when I first saw him. So I agree, but I don't think they're any better than what they originally were. Like, they're different. Again, they're very different, but I've looked. I was looking at an image before we started today, and I was like, why? Why is it like a massive pizza? It looks like a massive pizza. And
I'm gonna have to look at it again now with the thought of a pizza in mind.
you're welcome. And again, if anyone agrees, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you don't agree, put it in the
Yeah.
but I just hated the ones that were before, so I'm just happy that they're different now, because I just think the only difference of those titles being red or blue was just a bit boring, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I always kind of thought that they looked like kids' toys in like
Yes,
this
they
weird
did.
way. But yeah, it's nice to see though. Like I say, I think this week's definitely felt more so like that shift to a new era. Like there's a lot more new stuff going on, titles and things like that, returns, hints and teasers, which we'll talk about later. And yeah, I'm just happy that this week felt more like that fresh start to be honest.
Yeah. It was, again, like, talking of returns, like, we had Sheamus come back after nearly a year of being on the shelf. It's great seeing him.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a lot of people, like, fat shame him,
Yeah,
going, like,
fuck that.
like, fat Sheamus is back and stuff like that. And, again, I think people don't realize that he had, like, neck surgery. He thought he was done, like, wrestling. And, again, with a neck injury, you can't really train. You can't. Again, there's exercise that you can do, but not to the extent of how he does his training. Like, I've watched some of his like videos that he does with other like wrestlers, and it's like insane. Like some of the workouts that he does.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this is his bulk era. He's just put on loads of weight, and it's like Gunther. Like when Gunther first came onto like SmackDown,
He used to be
He was
huge.
he was a very large man, and he started shredding the weight, and he looks great.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to happen with Sheamus. He's just going to come back. Well, he's back, but over the next like few months, you're just going to see like fucking swole Sheamus come out, like looking like a big
Swolemus.
pasty white wall.
Yeah, no, I saw someone say about that and how I never really thought about it, but I agreed with what they said after I'd heard it. Where it's weird that most industries you don't seem to get away with like body shaming people, but like in the wrestling one, it's almost like it mostly flies under the radar, and like it's just not okay. Like the guy's back, he's given so much to that company, and the
Yes.
first thing that you think about when he comes back is to take the piss out of the fact that he's got a little bit of weight on him. Like just don't do it. Like just be happy that he's back, be happy for him,
Yeah.
because he looked like he was having the best time. And
Yeah, you could see by the match he had
Yeah.
a great match, and the match was good.
yeah,
Him and Ivar, and again for a return match, and with Ivar still doing his solo stuff because he's waiting for his tag partner to come back. It was great. It was a really good match. It made both competitors look really good. It wasn't like Sheamus came out, bro kicked him, that was it, and
No.
end of. It was a good match. There was actual like move sets that were like seen, like Sheamus done like a knee, which I've never seen him do before.
yeah. I can't remember
Because
what
I
they
saw him-
said that was called. They did give it a name, but I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I can't remember the name again. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch it on this week's Raw if he's wrestling. But yeah, it was good seeing Sheamus back. I'm super excited to see him return and see some of the potential matches that he can have, because I know Gunther's returning this week on Raw as well. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Gunther that took Sheamus out. So you never know, we might get a backlash match of Gunther versus Sheamus,
That'd be good.
which will be sick. But again, who goes over? That would be the one. Like
They can't
is-
have Gunter lose too.
Yeah, exactly.
back to back.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting nonetheless. So that's
Yeah.
my speculation on it. Anyway,
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see him in a match with Gunter. I think that'd just be a proper, as JR would say, good old fashioned slobber knocker. Like they just
Yeah.
beat the absolute shit out of each other for however long
Yeah.
they go for. I'd love to see
I
that.
agree.
But my favourite part was after the match when he decided to run over to Pat and Michael and just give him like this sweaty
Yeah.
old hug. I was like, fella!
It was great.
He
It
was
was so
just having
good.
such a good time, and like, I'm just so happy for him, because to be like have that kind of injury happen to you and then not even know if you're gonna be back in a ring ever again, and then people seem to like really enjoy it as well during the show
Yeah.
and have that pop and stuff. Like, I'm just happy for him.
Yeah. So am I. I'd rather it have been a surprise comeback instead of
Yeah.
an announced comeback. But regardless, Sheamus back is a big positive in my eyes.
Yeah, 100%. But while we were on the tag team stuff,
Mhm.
do it like that QR code. That was such a fun time.
And man, the QR codes, they're coming in thick and fast. Like there was, again, we'll talk about the SmackDown one now because we're just on that topic.
Yeah.
It's nice to see what's happening. I just hope they execute it well. That's my main concern, because don't get me wrong, I have a feeling, well, with Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas. I believe he'll do an amazing job of what Bray was laying down for so long. I just hope they execute it well enough, and it's not just one of these things. It's like I don't want it to feel flat. I want it to feel flat. I want it to come back, and I want it to come back with a bang. And I know we've got Eric Rowan. I always get his second name wrong. Eric Rowans, I believe.
Yeah,
say it.
That is right. Yeah.
He's cancelled all his independent shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're like due to other commitments, he will no longer be a part of the show. So there's now talks that he may be potentially coming back to be part of the Wyatt 6.
I'd love to see it.
So would I. And again, I've seen loads of speculation. Again, there was the speculation on Matt Hardy, but with his most recent thing on TNA, we don't know because he showed up. For anyone that hasn't watched the TNA pay-per-view, Matt Hardy showed up at the very end and Twisted Fated Moose. So that's the current TNA champion. So I was like, have they signed him? Because he showed up and there was like no... TNA are normally hot quick with announcing that they've signed. Kind of like an AEW in the aspect of they'll show up, have their segment, and straight off the segment it'll be like, signed. Boom. And it's like, we didn't see that with TNA, and I'm on the fence. I'm like, is this like he'll be in TNA for a little while just to kind of keep himself like at a good physical strength and build to the TNA brand up? Because I know he's got they allowed him to do the broken Matt Hardy gimmick there.
Favorite Matt Hardy gimmick, by the way.
Oh, I agree, 100%. And will they let him just kind of do his own little thing for a little bit there, and then when he's done, he just packs up and goes, and then he comes back to WWE? We don't know. But again, Wyatt 6, that's what it's called.
Yeah, it's what's been circling, hasn't it? Yeah,
so Bo Dallas, guarantee. Eric Rollins, again, pulling all his independent shows out. Possibly. I'd like to see Braun Strowman become a part of it.
I think he wants to be.
Because he was the black sheep for the group, regardless. And I feel like him being alone for so long, he's done a lot, don't get me wrong. He had that weird tag team with Ricochet for a
that didn't make
short
sense
period of time. They done amazing spots, and it was great, but it was like a very like, okay. And then again, if we're going to go with a female, Alexa Bliss. She's meant to be coming back in it soon. She's been out of the company for over a year from the birth of her daughter, I believe.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see Bliss come back and be a part of this unit and see where it goes from there. But again, I don't want it to be. I'm going to reference AEW, and again, I don't always want to sound like a shit talk AEW, but it always comes back to it, unfortunately. If they're going to go with this group, I don't want it to be like the House of Black, where they're a prominent, like, we're dark, we're mysterious, we're going to come and interfere in your matches, and then lose every single match. I want them to come out, win the tag titles, win an Intercontinental, win the women's, and then them, like, be like a faction that actually holds titles, and it's not kind of like the Judgment Day in that aspect of things. Even if they get Rhea back and then they have like a War Games match with the Judgment Day versus Wyatt 6, I think it'd be cool.
That. I would love that.
WWE sign me.
Yeah, we're just armchair bookers, but we know what we're talking about. But yeah, I agree with you. I think, to be honest, I think the only way it works is if they separate it from Bray Wyatt as much as possible. Like, they're not gonna be him. They're not. Like, there's just no getting around it. They can't come out the same way. It has to have a spin on it. It has to be different in some way, because if not, it's constantly and always will be compared to what he was able to do, and that's unfair to the talent getting involved with it as well, because they are some big shoes to fill. It makes sense to do it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see it, and obviously it is happening with everything that they've been doing with the QR codes and stuff. I mean, we don't know that for a fact, but it's pretty evident. I I'm looking forward to see where it goes. In terms of who the extra members are, I think Braun Strowman's a good fit. I think with him being, like one of Bray's best friends, I think he would want to do that. Same as Alexa. During that documentary, she just outright said that it's the favourite part of her career she's ever had. So I think she'd want to do it. The Matt Hardy stuff is a little bit tricky, I think. He could just be with TNA as an independent contractor. True. He could be back more long term, but we just don't know. And I think it is weird, like you say, that they've not announced that he is just a full blown member of the roster now. But does he really fit that much? Like, he could. He could, but I don't think he could just come back as like broken Matt Hardy. It would need to be different.
No, I'd say the broken gimmick would work well with the Wyatt faction, because bear in mind Bray and Matt were a tag team for a long time, weren't they? As well, Bray. They were tag team champions. Bray and Matt.
That's not even in my memory banks at all.
Yeah, I think what are they called? They were like. I was gonna say the Broken Buzzards, but that ain't it.
I have no recollection of that.
Yeah, they were a tag team for a few months, I believe. Matt Hardy and Bray had a feud. Matt threw Bray into the river of reincarnation, whatever he calls it. I can't remember what he calls the water by his house, but
the dilapidated boat.
Yeah, exactly. So he threw Bray into it, and Bray lost Sister Abigail.
I don't remember that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I'll Google it quickly. But if you've got any other things that you want to throw into it,
I mean, I'm just gonna touch on Matt Hardy again. The broken Matt Hardy stuff is easily my favourite stuff he's ever done. When they did that match that they put out on the internet, where he was just, it's a dilapidated boat. That's peak wrestling. I love that so much. I pissed myself.
Their names were the Deleters of Worlds. They were a tag team in 2018, 6 years ago.
I don't even remember it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and watch some of their matches now, because that sounds really interesting. But yeah, I'm just really interested to see where it goes. And it got me proper giddy when it happened, because I had no idea, because I don't watch any of it beforehand. I go in as blind as I possibly can, and just seeing the New Day come out, and then you just saw that QR code pop up, I was like, got proper excited. Immediately just kept trying to pause it on the right spot so I could do it myself and stuff like that. And I just got really excited, just like going down that rabbit hole and seeing the two pictures and being like, they must line up, surely that's like. And
did you watch the videos as well?
Yeah, I saw the videos as well. But it's just fun. Like, you see all that stuff and you feel a part of it. And although like 1 million people have discovered it by this point, you somehow still feel like the first person to have solved it somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, I'm going to throw a question at you then. Who would be the first people you want them to feud with then? Because this is where I'm kind of stumped where they're going to start this feud off. Because like when it was Bray, when he first came back, his first feud was kind of with Uncle Howdy in the aspect of like his like inner demon aspect, and then it went on to him versus LA Knight. But I just don't see who they're going to fight or what they're going to come into, how they're going to introduce the characters, because it has to be prominent and it can't be. I don't feel like them interrupting a main event match will do well for either Cody or Damian. I see it more happening to Damian Priest than I do Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, their stories don't line up.
Because Cody's, if they put him against Cody, you know they're going to lose. They're not going to beat the champion. They're not going to beat Cody for the title within a month or two.
No.
Damian, on the other hand, we don't know how long his speculation is going to be on the title, but I could see them fitting in more against them because of the Judgment Day aspect of it. And then again, you can have that feud between the Judgment Day and the Wyatt Six, where they come out and cost them matches, or
I think, does it necessarily have to be like one group? Like, could they not just sort of come back and just wreck everything? Like, interfere with like all the matches and like really cement themselves as like this powerhouse.
yeah, they could do actually. But again, it's like who they interfere with, because it's gonna be one of them things. They have to do it correctly, because if it's like they come out and then they start fighting Sheamus, it's like, why?
Yeah.
What's the, like, again, I'm not like, storytelling's a massive thing for me with WWE and with wrestling in general. I do like a good story being told. That's why I like the Bloodline story. Although it may have dragged it a little bit and they continue in it, I feel like it's working well because they're keeping it fresh, they're adding new people into the mix. It's not the same 4 or 5 people part of it.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned when they do eventually bring the group in, who/what/where/why are they gonna do what they're gonna do? It's,
I think it just kind of depends who the members are, to be honest. Like, we don't 100% know yet who it's going to be.
No.
If I'm honest, if they were coming back with those members, I would have loved to have seen, like, I don't know, like Braun Strowman come back and actually be the one to like take the title off of Gunther or something. Like, to me, that would have really cemented them as this like force to be dealt with.
Yeah.
It's like I say, it's hard to say. I'm kind of with you in the sense I don't necessarily know who exactly it is that they would line up with. I think the most obvious answer's got to be the Judgment Day, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But are they really that strong of a faction? Really? Like,
That's what I mean.
they've got Damian Priest now as world heavyweight, but, you know, no disrespect to Damian Priest, but I think most people kind of view that as like an intermediate title hold. Like, I don't think people see that as a long-term thing.
I'm still surprised Finn never won it, but
I feel bad for Finn. Like, to me, he was, especially when he first came on the scene, I was like, this guy's fucking incredible. Like, he's easily one of my favorite wrestlers at the time. Like, actually, technically as well. Like, so good. But I just think he's a little bit wasted in the Judgment Day, to be honest. Like, I think that guy could actually move on to bigger and better things. But I don't know. It's just hard to say with the Wyatt stuff. And to be honest, can they even call it the Wyatt stuff? Like, if it's Uncle Cody and stuff,
because he was a part of the Wyatt Six, so they could still just go with the Wyatt Six, because you're not referring it just to Bray, you're just referring it to that faction.
Yeah, true.
But again, then it's like you are literally setting them up to be like, you are going to be a part of this, and anyone that's going to look at you, it'll be like you're a Wyatt, and if it's not living up to that standard, you've kind of dropped the ball with it.
Yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it? It's always, regardless of what they do, it's always going to be compared to what Bray did. Like, there's no way it's not going to be. But I think they need to try and put some things in place to try and make it feel new and not the same. Because although like the QR stuff, the QR code stuff is cool, like, it has been done before. Like, it's not necessarily new.
No,
it's still fun and exciting to see it and have it turn up every week and, like, say, go down that rabbit hole every week. But I don't really know where it goes, but I'm excited to see where they take it.
So am I. I am too.
Cool. So what do we have next after that? There's the main event stuff with Sami Zayn.
I think that's literally the main factors on Raw for me, if you ask me.
Yeah, I loved that Sami Zayn stuff. Like, I remember watching it and having Jay go out to the front and seeing him outside, and just, like, I think we talked about it last week, where we love seeing all that stuff where it's different, of the different entrances, and see him go through stuff. That was so good. I loved that so much, and you could actually tell how much it meant to Sami being able to walk through his hometown crowd.
Yeah, it's amazing the camera angles that WWE have been pulling out has been outstanding. Like, it's again some of the best footage I've seen from WWE in the sense of backstage.
Yeah,
It's great. They're doing amazing work with it.
yeah, and I think you can tell that they're trying new stuff like every week. Like, it's a little bit different like every time they
Yeah.
do it. And I must admit, I did laugh when Jey Uso was walking out the back and he just pushed that kid in the Stolen Gold t-shirt. He just walked in front of him and he's like, how he didn't say yeet at the same time, I do not know. But yeah, I just love seeing all that stuff. Like, just being able to see them try new things. And like, yeah, I know they kind of did stuff like that with like Shield and stuff like that, but it wasn't the same. Like, you didn't see them go through and stuff like that. I don't know, it gives the show like a grander feel. Like, when you actually hear the crowd and see the crowd go nuts, it feels like everybody else is more into it. But yeah, I hope they keep doing that kind of stuff, to be honest.
So do I.
The match was pretty good as well.
Yeah, the match was good. The match was really good. Again, what I was expecting from them too. An amazing bout between them. It was great to see. Like, again, Chad Gable shine and prove why he should be a singles title holder. Like, he's been too goddamn long.
Yeah,
And
when
then-
you said that,
yeah.
I was shocked. I assumed that he'd got one somewhere along the lines, but
Yeah.
it's crazy that he hasn't. I don't know. I was watching that and I was like, is Sami Zayn one of my favourite wrestlers? I was like, is he? Like, is he? Because I'd never really stopped to consider it, but like every match I've seen from him, I've always been like, he's so fucking good. Like, he's just so fucking good.
Sammy is a great wrestler. He is.
But it's just something about his whole shtick that doesn't click with me. Like, I don't like his music.
What the this music's the best bit. It gets me like hyped to see Sami Zayn. I think that's what gets it for me. I like his music quite a lot.
I'm not a fan. It's just not my thing. But I get why. I get why it like gets the pop it does and stuff, and everybody obviously joins in with the chants and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I was just watching it. I was like, I fucking love Sami Zayn. I think he's great. But I think we kind of said it, didn't we? That there was no way that he was going to be dropping the belt like that soon after beating Gunner, which sucks for Chad Gable. But I think they're definitely setting it up for further stuff down the line.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Sammy versus Chad Gable #2.
Yeah.
When will that will be? Probably Backlash. I'm calling Backlash will be the title defense. And again, we don't know what's happening with Chad Gable and American Alpha. Is it American Alpha? What's that his team's called?
Yeah, with Otis.
Yeah, because bear in mind we haven't seen Otis with him in, I'd say, a month now.
It's been a
give or
while.
take.
Yeah.
So there's rumors floating around that they're not going to be a team anymore, and the Creed brothers.
Mhm.
Supposedly they're going to be a part of Chad Gable's new faction, and they're all going to be heel. So it's going to be kind of like Angle with Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, which
Yeah.
I could see
I'd
working
say it.
because again they're like all proper like American wrestlers. It's not like
Yeah.
yeah. So I could see that working, and I could see it being a good faction. It just depends on how they roll with it. Because again, if Awesome Truth win, I hope the Creed brothers beat them, like dominate the hell out of them. Again, with Chad Gable being with them. But again, who knows? Who knows?
I'd feel bad for Otis in that situation, though. Like, he's not necessarily done anything wrong. Like, he's not a bad wrestler or anything, but he's not amazing. But, like, he's not really done anything to deserve just, like, being chucked to the wayside, really.
Well, he's been on NXT more than anything recently. I haven't seen Otis or Maxine or Tozawa with Chad in a while.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna do like the whole breakup within the like next few weeks, where who knows, maybe tomorrow American Alpha approach him and go like, "What the hell? What's wrong with you?" And then Chad slaps Tozawa and they have a match or something, and then Chad beats that 11 shit out of him, and then Otis gets involved, and who knows? Who knows? Again, I'm just fancy booking now in my eyes how I would make this scene, this little boat chug along, But
yeah, I think I could see that working though as a faction with Creed and the Creed brothers and Chad. But how does that necessarily play into doing a singles feud with like Sammy and stuff? I don't know. We'll see how it goes though. But I think we both saw it coming, that the heel turn was coming, and I think we did mention it last week, to be honest.
We did.
But yeah, I think it was good though. I think even though we kind of knew it was going to happen, watching the match play out and stuff, and seeing how it all happened was still fun. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. There was something we forgot to talk about last week, which I want to quickly run past.
Yeah. Sure.
So we've spoken about the women's division and how we feel like they're not really fighting for anything. The NXT brand are having a middle class women's title added. So they're having the women's North American title, which I think is a really cool idea, because again, now it means that you've got a stacked out women's roster that aren't just standing around doing nothing. There's something to actually gun for. If you can't get a women's title, at least you get the North American or the tag team titles. So I hope WWE kind of do a tournament for it. Even if they do King of the Ring, because King of the Ring's coming up very, very soon.
Yes.
You get the Queen of the Ring, and whoever wins that wins the inaugural women's Intercontinental title, or however they want to call it within WWE. I think that'd be a really cool idea. I definitely feel like they need to add another title, because don't get me wrong, we've got women's tag, which is great. Is it getting used properly? No. Not right now. But I feel like a singles women's title would be amazing, because there's a lot of women that deserve some recognition. I feel like Zelina is a pretty good example. And again, if you have someone like Chelsea Green win it, although she's not the best, I feel like her getting a title would piss a lot of people off, which would get a lot of heel heat to her.
Yeah, it would, to be fair.
And again, she could win it by cheating every single week or something along them lines. It'd be great. So I feel like the main roster need to pull in something like that, because NXT have really upped the ante with the singles title.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really even know about that. I don't have as much time to watch NXT, to be honest. NXT probably is the one show that I do neglect to watch. I'll watch every now and again, but I more so only watch the main stuff. But that sounds really interesting. I think they've definitely been doing that kind of stuff with the women's division for a little while now, with the whole tag teams added and stuff like that.
Yep.
It definitely could do with stuff like that, like I say, with the mid card and stuff, just kind of sitting there doing nothing. But it's whether or not they have the TV time to then push that stuff as well.
They could do. They easily could do. Again, stop having half an hour segments of you talking about how hardship has been for you and stuff. Yes, we get it, Cody. I like you as a champion. I feel for you. I didn't have to see you on SmackDown and on Raw talking about the title and how much it means to you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that kind of really nicely segues into SmackDown, to be quite honest, because I feel like having that match off the bat, no introduction, no promos, nothing, just LA Knight, AJ Styles, boom, off you go.
It was great, and we kind of called it again last week, how we said they're going to have Styles versus LA Knight again, and they did. And is it going to be 50-50 booking? You sure damn well it will be, and the better man won, in my opinion.
That match is so good as well.
It's a great match. It was a great match, and I feel like, again, they should have just not bothered with the match at Mania. They should have just let it be, and then had this match together, and it would have been amazing, and I'd be more invested in it than I was the Mania match, because they had LA Knight win it at Mania. Don't get me wrong, it was his first one. But what has he gained from this now? He won the match and then lost to AJ a week later. Not even a week.
I agree, but I think this sets up a really good opportunity for like the whole rubber match thing. I think now AJ Styles is in there with Cody for Backlash. LA Knight's going to do a DQ on that. 100%.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. I think
yeah, actually makes sense. But then again, do we want another month of LA Knight versus feuding with AJ? I don't.
I don't necessarily, but I think that's where they're going.
I know why WWE have picked AJ for Cody's first title defense, because again, we all know how good of a wrestler AJ is. He can have a match with a not great wrestler and turn it to a good match. And then again, if you have a look at like some of the matches that AJ's had in his past, like him versus Jinder on SmackDown when he beat him for the title, that looked like a really good match. Again, Jinder Mahal, I've never really found interesting. I think his moveset's very, very boring. But
yeah, I'd agree.
When we saw AJ versus him in Manchester many, many moons ago, it was a great run, and I'm glad they got to do that stuff. And they've picked AJ because they know he can deliver a good match. And again, I think it's a first. I think it's the first time we're going to get to see Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles as well, which I'm for. Even if AJ comes out the loser in this match, I'm not going to be too hard on, because again, I want Cody to have his moment. I want Cody to have a lengthy title reign. I'd probably say he will lose it at SummerSlam potentially.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like they've done the right choice in getting AJ to fight Cody for the title for the first reign. So it just depends on what they do from here and how they go with it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the whole idea behind this is let's make sure that the first match does tear the whole roof down, because that's definitely something that AJ Styles can do with Cody. Like, I have no doubts that match will be fire. But there is zero chance that he drops the title to AJ Styles. Like, absolutely zero.
100%.
To me, does kind of make that pay-per-view main event boring in a way, like, because you've got no questions going into it. Like, will it be a great match? Yes. Will you as a wrestling fan be satisfied? Yes. But do you kind of know what's going to happen? Also, yes.
Yeah,
but I also agree with you what you said in regards to, do you want to see another whole month of LA Knight AJ Styles? No, I don't, but I feel like that's definitely where they're going. Like, now they're 1-1. There's no way we don't get a third match. No way.
Yeah, but okay, out of that feud, who do you want to come out on top? Because bear in mind, whoever wins the next one will need to be pushed for a title to some extent, or put more in the limelight. And
don't hate me for it, but I think LA Knight needs it more than AJ does. With AJ coming towards the tail end of his career, as he said, LA Knight needs the push more than AJ does. At this point.
I agree. Unfortunately, yeah. Again, I'd like to see AJ hold a title again within WWE. And again, as we mentioned, I'd love to see him potentially do an NXT run. I think it'd be amazing. I think it'd be a great idea for him, because it's less stressful on the workload aspect of things, and it brings a lot more light to the main brand as well. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I think I read an article after the podcast we done last week where it definitely seems fairly imminent now that he's kind of coming towards the tail end of his career. And genuinely that sucks, because he is, again, no pun intended, as we kept saying last week, he is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, for a guy that's pushing nearly 50, he just doesn't move like a 50-year-old. I know it sounds silly.
Not at all. And just seeing the spots that he was hitting on SmackDown, I was just like, what do you mean your body doesn't do what you want it to do anymore? Because mine definitely doesn't, and I can't do that shit.
Yeah, I agree.
He looked great. And just to touch on that match again, like, just, it was genuinely, I don't tend to do the whole match rating thing, but I was like, it's like a good 4. This is a solid 4. But yeah, I really enjoyed that match, and like I said, to sort of lead into it, that it was nice to actually start a show with just like no promos. Just let's just get into it and have a fantastic match.
I agree.
And I think my thought process when I was watching it was thinking, well, is SmackDown going to be the more wrestling show now, and Raw is going to be the more talky show? Which does make sense in terms of the time, because obviously you got an extra hour or whatever with Raw. But I don't know, the matches they put on this week at SmackDown, I was like, these are all really good matches.
Yeah, because we had the was it the 4-way number 1 contenders match? Which the Street Profits one.
Yeah, Street Profits came out with that one,
which I said was probably going to happen because out of all the teams, none of them really stood out. Again, I like Pete Dunne, but I don't like the tag team that he's a part of. If AOP won, it kind of makes the win that Street Profits got at Mania redundant, and the other guys, I apologize, I feel like an absolute dick that I can't remember their names, but the other team, that they were a part of it because they were a tag team, so they just got thrown in the mix. But yeah, I'm glad Street Profits win. Again, well, I think they're going to win the titles. No,
I don't think they will either, to be honest.
I don't think the tag titles. I think out of the 2 tag team titles that will change hands, I feel like DIY will win it more likely than Street Profits. But
the one thing I kind of picked up on, though, especially with the titles being what they are now, the designs of the titles are kind of not generic. Generic's the wrong word, but they're not tied to each brand enough that those 2 don't swap places.
True. No, I agree. I couldn't agree more with you.
Like there's,
and
go on.
No, you hit the nail on the head with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say like who ends up where at this point, but I can definitely see those 2 titles actually swapping brands.
Yep,
to be honest,
I can too.
But the match is really good as well. Like some of the spots in that match are insane. To be honest, I can't remember his bloody name now, but Street Profits guy. But he did that flip over the turnbuckle. I was like, and holy shit!
Yeah, it was good. It was good. And we had the reveal of the SmackDown titles as well, which I felt were by far the more superior looking titles out of the 2. Because it wasn't a pizza.
It's just,
I felt like
it's a flatbread instead.
I felt like it honoured the older title design a lot more.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why I'm more critical on the Raw ones currently, because although they're something different, they're nothing that we've kind of tie back to like older thoughts or tag titles. It's like they're okay, but they're a bit too outlandish in my opinion. So
I can see what you mean.
That's why the SmackDown ones resonate with me so much more. The moment the unveil happened, I went, that's a fucking title right there.
I felt that way about the other ones though.
Oh really?
I saw them and literally my instant reaction was just like, ooh, they are nice. But I get it. It's all going to be preferential. Like everyone's going to have their favourites and not favourites and stuff like that. I'm just, regardless of how it shook out, I'm just glad that they're not the ones they were, because they were awful. But
yeah,
I don't really want Austin Theory and bloody what's his face to keep them, to be honest, because I just don't like them. I don't even like to hate them. I just don't like them.
No, I agree. I'm the same. I find Tyson. I was going to say Tyson Fury. Austin Theory, just boring. Grayson Waller, he's a great wrestler. They're both great wrestlers. They are really both good wrestlers, but I just don't like them. Same as you, I just don't really get along with their character. I don't think they're working well as a tag team. I feel like they should just broken up already. Turn one heel, turn one face, potentially, or just have them go their separate ways. But
yeah,
yeah,
again, similar to the Awesome Truth stuff, though. Like it, I mean, I hope they don't hold them for long. To be honest, I'd rather them go on anyone else. To be quite honest, because like I say, it's not even that they're a heel and you're supposed to not like them. It's just I just find them a bit dull.
Yep,
to be honest, I think
agree.
their whole shtick is just very one note, like the whole "haha, I'm better than you" and "I look so good," and it's like just no.
Yeah,
It's not
I agree.
interesting to me. Like to me, that's the epitome of what like cheap heat is. Like you're not really
I
doing
agree.
anything to actually get heat on yourself. You're just pushing yourself as being the best thing ever, which is, I don't know, it just feels cheap to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they'll drop them though to Street Profits. Same as what you said. I hope they do, but I don't have hope.
Yeah,
At the same time,
I'm the same. Then we move on to Solo Sokoa and the Bloodline story, developing more within that own little universe of the WWE.
still is the
With-
best storyline in WWE at the minute. The
Yep.
Bloodline for me.
But now they've added Kevin Owens into the mix, which is interesting because I'm like, why KO out of everyone? Because
Yeah,
what has he got to do with it? Again, I know he had his moments with against the Bloodline, but why bring it up now? Who knows? But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do and where they go with it. The new Bloodline.
I think to be honest, psychology wise, it sets up to me that they will just attack anyone on sight, because the only reason they attacked Kevin Owens is because he happened to be the one that went into Cody's locker room at the time when they were there. Like, to me, that
Really?
sets up like, okay, he fucked us off last week, so we're going to kill him the next week. And then next week is going to be, okay, well, who fucked us off last week? Let's deal with them this week. I don't
Makes sense.
necessarily think it's going to be like they're bringing Kevin Owens into this full like ham, but I think they're just trying to emphasize that, like, regardless of what you do, you should not cross these people. You should not do
Yeah.
anything to piss them off, because this will be what will happen to you. Whether that means that Kevin Owens has a match with them further down the line, maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah.
the main thing I took away from that whole segment, though, was just I forget his name every bloody time, but the new guy in there is an absolute fucking animal. Like, just the way
Yeah.
he was like snarling on his bloody head and stuff. I was like, this is good stuff. Like, they are
And-
proper selling this.
Yeah, as you quite rightly mentioned, we saw blood, which
Yes.
is very, very rare for WWE. Like, again, I'm again going to seem like a massive AEW hater, and I do apologize for this, but it's one of the things that gets my tits. AEW are not sparing with blood. Like, someone can sneeze at John Moxley and he'll bust open. The man bleeds any opportunity he physically can do within that company, and same with Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Same with quite a lot of the wrestlers within AEW. WWE don't really use blood all that much. It's very rare that you ever see a wrestler bleed, and if they do, you see the wrestler quickly get shoved into a corner, head cleaned up a bit so it stops bleeding. This is the first time we've seen somebody get thrown out from a backstage segment
I can't
covered in
remember
blood.
that. I can never remember a time where somebody has been bloodied up and I've not been able to know why.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and it's interesting because it's showing that WWE are now kind of like willing to do a bit more and a bit different. Which,
Yeah.
again, I know the fans. Again, the product's still heavily leaning towards younger viewers.
I think
But-
that's changing, though. I really
Yeah,
do.
I do too. I feel like they're starting to go to more your later teens now, where they're like, well, we've got blood. I don't know if has there been swearing? I think there's been swearing a couple
There's
of
been
times.
some. I think Paul Heyman said something about that Solo Sikoa, I know that I shouldn't piss you off, or something like that.
Yeah, so they're throwing in the odd one or two swear words with like piss and whatnot, and the Rock segments were quite heavy on swearing. I know they censored him quite heavy.
They had to be honest.
But yeah, it's nice to see WWE's product changing ever so slightly each week because it's refreshing, it's new, but it's new in the aspect of we've not seen it for years.
It's new,
so it's
old.
nice. Yes,
But yeah, I agree there. That I think I heard The Rock say something to do with blood before Mania, where they were talking about the product and stuff like that, and he sort of just iterated that it's okay to have blood, but it's got to mean something. It's got to be for a reason, and this definitely had a reason. Like, this 100% set them up as like this ferocious pack of animals that are just going to tear people apart. And he's really good, that new guy. Like, I haven't seen him wrestle yet, but like, he is so believable as like an absolute fucking head case.
well, let's hope his in ring is as good as what they've making him out to be so far. Because again, I'm not going to sit and pretend like I watch New Japan. But the one clip I've ever seen of him, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I'll have to send it to you. But
Yeah, please do.
for the audience that may watch this and may know what I'm on about, it's him versus Okada, and he's doing some like slaps, and it just looked very like, the fuck is this? He's like,
Okay.
yeah, I'll send it to you. But again, if somebody in the audience knows what I'm on about, you'll be like, yeah, that one part looks pretty dumb. Like, it looks so bad.
I haven't seen it, to be fair, but I believe in him after everything that they're doing. I think Paul Heyman's a big part of that, like selling how shit scared he is of everyone all the time now. I think it's 100% clear now, though, that this is not anything to do with Roman Reigns. Like, he's not the one pulling the strings at all.
It's the new bloodline. It definitely is, and this is why I said what I said last week. I definitely feel like we're gonna get a bloodline 2.0 collision.
Yeah.
At whatever Survivor Series, and I definitely feel like Roman will come back. I'm saying SummerSlam. I'm gonna give him another 4 months before we see Roman.
Yeah.
But I feel like he'll be back to fight somebody, or like, who knows what's on the horizon. But they need to make this new incarnation of the bloodline as strong as they did with Roman and the Usos.
Yeah, and I think it feels that way, but just in a different way. Like, this is more like, with the Roman side of stuff, it felt like it was always dangerous, but it was just like bubbling under the surface, and it could tip at any point. But this feels like just like pure, unadulterated lashing out at anybody who happens to get in their way or anything like that. And I think it definitely fits in with Sikoa's character, and I think seeming on what this guy is bringing to the table as well, it fits in with that as well. I find it interesting though, seeing Sikoa like in the suit and stuff this week. Like, it's almost like he's trying to be Roman in this weird way.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing Solo in a whole new gimmick. He's not just barefoot or in a hoodie or something like that. He's suited and booted. And is it Tatonga? Is that his surname?
It's Tatonga, yeah. Something
We'll
like
go
that.
with Tatonga. Again, hopefully next week we'll actually remember his name. I'm going to have it written down in a big billboard behind me.
I'm going to Google it quickly.
But the only issue that I've got with Solo being the main guy for the Bloodline at the moment, Solo's on like a 34 loss streak. He has not won a match since he beat John Cena in Saudi Arabia. So I can't take him serious right now, and it's unfortunate.
I agree with you.
I feel like they've weakened him as a character, and now that they're making him like, yeah, here you go, here's the front light. It's like, how am I meant to take you serious? Because they had Roman come back and be a dominant force. It wasn't like Roman was losing or looking weak. Roman came back and stomped everyone in his way.
Yeah.
So unless they go by that storyline where Roman's like, you're not a tribal chief, who do you think you are, kind of ordeal, I don't know, and it's a shame because I want to buy into it. And again, with the aspect of Fatu joining the faction soon, I know how much of a monster he is. So I know this new incarnation of the Bloodline is going to be stacked.
I think yeah, go on.
I can't get behind Solo at the moment, and it's such a shame unless they start making him into a main eventer where he starts winning matches and he actually looks like a prominent force. They need to do something with him because at this moment I just can't take it serious.
I don't necessarily think you're supposed to, though. I think you're maybe supposed to be like, well, you're just like a cheap imitation of what Roman was. Like, I think I wouldn't even be surprised though if like with all these new members that they bring in, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually these new members kick Solo out, and he then joins whatever it comes back with Roman as, and then it's like this new evil proper bloodline versus the originals. I could see that.
Yeah, I could too.
It's Tama Tonga. That's his name.
Tonga. There we go.
We were close enough.
I'll still probably forget it next week.
Probably, yeah. I'm gonna put a little post-it note. I'm gonna walk around with everywhere with it now, just so I remember his name.
Wake up in a cold sweat.
I will. After seeing his like essentially licking Kevin Owens' head when it was all busted open.
He's quite old himself as well. Like, it made me laugh because commentary kind of mentioned it, and someone on Twitter was like, and they're like, "Oh, look at this hot young new talent," and then someone on Twitter went, "He's 42." I'm like,
He looks good for 42.
he does again. Like, I don't know what they're putting in the water in these wrestlers. But yeah, he looks incredible. He does look very, very good.
Yeah, I'd like to say I think this still is the most interesting story in WWE for me. Just seeing it every week, like what is going to happen next, because I think it's probably, other than like the stuff we touched on earlier with the Wyatt stuff, it's probably the only storyline that like I kind of have like no idea like how they're actually going to roll it all out. I think we have some ideas, but I think they are probably just armchair booking. Stuff we'd like to see, but whether they actually take it that way, I don't know. But it's still interesting. It's interesting to see it every week.
And then, what was it? SmackDown ended with the women's WWE title match.
Yeah.
Bayley versus Naomi. Again, it's nice to see a title match being so prominent now on the brand. So again, we very rarely got to see title matches. Was it the end of the show? Was this the final match before?
This was the end.
That's good. It's nice to see women wrestling end the show, because it's not your Becky Lynch or Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair. It's two talent that have been within the company for a very long time. Bear in mind, Naomi left, yes, but she's been with WWE prior for a long time. It's nice to see this happening, and it's nice to see them getting to flourish in that own aspect of things, because we mentioned about we don't want talent just sitting there, and it's nice to see a main event.
Yeah,
two women.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about like Naomi in that main event. I'm not the biggest Naomi fan, to be honest. I would have rather than have the whole DQ thing, I would have rather it just have been Tiffany
Stratton,
to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we mentioned it last week how Naomi just kind of got thrown into it because Bayley was like, "I want Naomi," and it's like Tiffany was like, "What? But I've already beaten her." And again, it's nice to see storytelling being happening in that aspect, where they're like, Tiffany's now had a reason to come out and cost this match, because she's like, "You're disrespecting me. I've already beaten Naomi, and now you're giving her the match." It's clever. It's very, very clever, and I'm glad they're doing it, because again, it's story building. It's not just I don't like you. Here's a match, boom, done. It's I've beaten you. You beaten me. I feel like I deserve this. No, okay.
Do you think it ends up being triple threat at Backlash?
Yes, I do. I see it being a triple threat match. Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton for the title. I feel like Tiffany may take the pin, but I don't want her to, because I feel like I think she's still quite young as well. I think she's like 21 or 22.
Yeah, I think she is quite young.
She's still really young as a talent, and I feel like if WWE mold her in the right way, she can easily this year be a women's champion. And I hope that's the case, because she is a very, very good wrestler, and her moonsault is by far the most stunning moonsault I've ever seen. And again,
if so good, so good. But no, I agree with you. I think although what I said earlier, like I don't vibe with her, like I don't, but I'm not taking anything away from the fact that she would be a great heel. She's, like I say, she's got a lot of opportunity to grow in the business and flourish into, eventually what will be a champion. I don't think she's necessarily at the point yet where she should have the belt put on her. I think give it a little while, maybe, once she's developed a little bit more. But the fact, if they do put her in a triple threat at a pay-per-view, at Backlash, they're kind of putting the little building blocks in place for her. Like she'll be in a proper pay-per-view match that like is a big draw in a women's championship. They're kind of setting her up for maybe in the future being able to do something like that.
No, I agree.
But I don't know. I didn't really like the DQ finish though.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, because it makes Naomi still look like a really good competitor. She still looks, as people like to call it, strong. She's still looking like a contender. And it makes Bayley not look weak either, because Bayley didn't take a pin, Naomi didn't take a pin, so it now leaves them both, because Naomi's been winning all her matches, par 2, I believe, since she's returned, and her 2 losses were, I believe, to Tiffany. So it's nice to see that they're not making Naomi take a fall again to then have her lose to Tiffany, or Tiffany come out and then beat up Naomi after the match. So I feel like it's clever in the aspect of the DQ, because now it gives it that opportunity to go into a triple threat match where it's now Naomi wanting to win the title for her own glory, like when she used to hold the title, Bayley defending it because she hasn't held a title in forever and a day, and Tiffany's trying to prove her worth within the company.
Yeah, fair. I've just never been the biggest fan of a DQ finish. I think if you put in title matches on your brand shows, there should actually be a title match where it's a match. But I get what you mean though, and like I said, it touches on the fact that it's setting up for a triple threat match at Backlash. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
You've changed my mind.
See, you're welcome.
Cool. I think that wraps up the shows though, doesn't it, really?
Again, we kind of discussed it off stream, off the podcast, sorry, stream of mind coming into play. There wasn't really anything to talk about with AEW this week apart from Ruby Soho announcing she's pregnant. Congratulations to her and Angelo. But again, for me, the product just isn't there. I'm not interested in it. I saw the Hook Jericho moment that they had, and I was watching it. I was just like, I don't get what's happening here, because Jericho is the new Big Show. That's how I'm putting Jericho. Jericho has become a heel and face within AEW more times than I can fucking count. Yeah. And that's what happened to Big Show. Like, Big Show would come out one week, cry, be a baby face. Next week, come out and punch the hit like faces and be like, oh, I don't like them, and then get torn between wanting to do that. And I'm like, it just feels the same with Jericho, because he'll partner with someone, be a face, and then all of a sudden turns heel out the blue because they farted near him or something. I don't get it, and I just feel like the product's really, really lackluster at the moment. I know is it a pay-per-view's on tonight?
Yeah,
which has the only match that's somewhat interested in me is, well, I've got 2 on that lineup. It's the Swerve versus Samoa Joe match. Actually, 3, tell a lie. Samoa Joe Swerve. I would say 3 actually. I changed my mind on the second one. The second one was FTR versus the Young Bucks, a ladder match. I don't really like the Young Bucks. I'm sorry. I don't find them that interesting. And then the other match that I'm genuinely wanting to watch would be Will Ospreay versus Daniel Bryanson, which I can honestly say will probably be one of the best matches on that card and probably this year.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think just touching on the AEW as a whole before we go into those matches, I think that for me, there's nothing in any of those storylines that makes me go, I need to watch this week. I just don't really care for any of it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I agree. Like the Swerve Joe match, I'm genuinely excited for because we know Swerve is an amazing wrestler, and I feel like WWE did drop the ball letting him go because he was a great NXT North American champion. I could definitely have seen him hold the NXT World title and then move up to the main roster and do well there. But again, their storyline's based around Hangman Adam Page being a part of it, and now Hangman's not there. Joe's the heel, Swerve's the face, but Swerve's not a face. It's very, very peculiar how they do their booking, and I think that's one of the main reasons I've never really been able to get behind AEW in that aspect of things. And it's a shame because again, they've got such amazing talent, and I can respect talent where it is. I can't put myself through watching some of their randomness because they
That's
just
the
feel
thing.
like one week they want this guy here and then he's the heel the next week.
That's the thing. Like, there's just no consistency with their product. Like, it just you could get something good one week, but then next week it'll just be trash. And I used to really love AEW, like I really did, but nowadays I just don't find anything in what they're doing that makes me want to actually watch their shows every week, let alone a pay-per-view. And I don't even know how you even go. I haven't even looked into it. I don't even know how you would go about watching it in this country, the pay-per-view.
I think it's Fight.
Oh, yeah,
Network.
Fight TV. Yeah,
I think it's like 30 quid
Yeah, I'm
for
not
the
doing
pay per view. Again, I just can't justify paying it because I don't care enough about the product to warrant it. If there's a good match on there, then I'd be more inclined to look at highlights of that match. But yeah, I'm just not vibing with it. And again, we got the House of Black versus Adam Cole. I can't even. Edge. I'm fucking calling him Edge. Edge. Eddie Kingston and one of the Brute. I'm gonna butcher this, and so many people are gonna hate me. One of the brothers.
Do you mean the Brody brother?
Yeah. I believe so. Them. It's like a 6-man tag. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Why is this a
no
thing?
sense.
I don't know. Again, I don't want to sound like I was shit on AEW because I don't want to sound like.
If the boot fits, Race. If
Yeah,
the boot fits.
I guess.
I would love for it though. I'd love for them to make like a big comeback and their product to be good because, like we said about it last week, it's a good alternative for consumers. They have somewhere else to go if they're not a fan of the WWE or vice versa. There's always cross traffic in that regard. It's good for the wrestlers because they have other places to go, and again vice versa. But unless there's like dramatic changes in how they go about business, I just can't see it.
No, I agree. It feels so much like WCW, and people are probably going to be like, that's a bit harsh to say against the brand, but that's the only way I can describe it. It's a WCW. It really, really is. And again, it's frustrating to keep watching them like put out a good storyline and then drop the ball by adding some random gimmick or random match into it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Tony Schiavone did this interview after the whole locker room all-in stuff, and he was kicking off that people were saying that this was like WCW all over again. He was like, well, I was the only one of you that was there, so I'm the only one that can say whether it was or not. And it's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that everybody else's opinion is invalid just because you were there. Like,
Exactly.
people are allowed to have opinions on these things, Tony. And from what I can see, it does feel that way. It really does. Like a lot of the booking and a lot of the decisions that they're making, you know, I grew up watching it. Like it feels very similar to me. Not even necessarily they're doing the same thing, but it's more about the feel and the impact on what that will eventually lead to. I think, anyway. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I barely even want to discuss AEW at this point, to be honest. So it's just such a nothing show for me. I just don't feel any desire to watch it.
I agree. Well, hopefully after this pay-per-view tonight, they give us more reason to talk about it next week.
Be nice.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
What else is there on the agenda today?
I think we've got the question that you put together. I can't even talk today. You put together the questions, I think.
Oh, yeah. So what did you call the segment last week? Because I can't remember what it was called.
Hot tag questions.
Hot tag questions. Brilliant. So, unlike yours, where you gave me a this or that, I kind of struggled on that front. So, I went with a few this or that and just some general questions. So, are you ready for your first one?
I am. Fire away, good sir.
Who is the better tag team? Edge and Christian, the Hardys, or the Dudleys?
Like actually wrestling or like whole package?
Whole package.
Hardys then.
Okay.
I can't go any other way because I wanted to be a Hardy as a kid. So
I think I was the same. I was exactly the same. Couldn't agree more. Your favourite looking title?
My favourite title of all time isn't the Winged Eagle, but it's the one after it. It's like the Attitude Era title. I think it was like went out of commission like 2002, I think. That's probably my favourite in terms of championship belts, like the top ones. I was also quite partial to the what was it called? It was the Steve Austin version of that one, the Broken Skull one. Like that one's pretty dope as well.
I like that. John Cena or The Rock?
Probably The Rock.
Okay.
I can't look past the Attitude Era. I just can't. To me, that is and always will be like peak wrestling for me. Even though it was like stupidly problematic for a lot of it.
Yeah.
I can't look past how that made me feel as a kid. Like
the reason I picked that question as well, mainly, is because they followed kind of the same path. They both came into the company with a really weak gimmick. Like we had Rocky's gimmick, and then we had John Cena come out to the open challenge from Kurt Angle and shout ruthless aggression. And then again to go on to be some of the best like champions we've ever had within the company.
Yeah.
So
I think overall, like their what's the word I'm looking for? Their output to wrestling, John Cena is 100% like the clear favourite there. Like his what is the word I'm looking for? His thing, commitment, or like his ability to push that company further. John Cena definitely takes that in that regard. But in terms of biggest star power, like, I don't think it gets much bigger than The Rock. Like, regardless of how people feel about him and the fact that he left the business quite early, considering and stuff like that, nobody really has that much of a pop when they do eventually return, I feel.
Okay. The worst gimmick to you?
There's so many to choose from.
Yeah, this one, when I read it, I was like, I could think of like 5 straight away.
Yeah, I mean, the Stardust stuff was awful.
Yeah.
But at least Cody made it work for the most part.
True.
You could go really old. You could go like Gobbledygooker. That was absolutely dreadful. You could go Doink the Clown, also equally as dreadful. I think the most egregious one for me, though, is Yokozuna not actually being Japanese.
Yeah, he's Samoan, wasn't he?
Yep. So I'm going to go
Yeah,
for that one.
He's a part of the bloodline.
He is a
Theoretically,
part of the bloodline.
Not even
100%.
theoretically, he is. He is.
But yeah, but the wrestling WWE used to do that so much so, where they're just like, "Oh, you look vaguely like Asian. We'll make you this," or like,
Yeah,
it's just so disrespectful. Like
it really is.
to me, that's like the most egregious one. Like Yokozuna was great, obviously back in the day, but I can't imagine how that would make you feel as a person to like feel like your whole identity is just overwritten by
Taken
this
away.
gimmick.
Yeah.
Just sucks. So I'm going to go for that one. Yokozuna.
Cool. I think you gave me this question last week, but I'm going to do it again.
Sure.
Sting or The Undertaker?
You gotta go Undertaker. You can't. Yeah, you just have to. Like the legacy that guy has, you just can't. To me, anyway, you can't go any other way. Like I loved Sting in WCW as a kid.
Yeah, so did I.
And even some of like the later stuff he's done in AEW with Darby Allin and stuff has been kind of fun.
Yeah.
But Taker's got the biggest legacy. He'll be.
Right.
I feel like you would be able to go in more countries and people would know who the Undertaker is more than people would know who Sting was.
No, I agree. Your favorite luchador?
It's. I don't know. I feel like. You gotta go Ray, haven't you? Like, he's the biggest like impact on that world. Like, you could argue that he technically isn't even a luchador anymore, considering the fact that he was unmasked in WCW. But
True.
I don't know. Yeah, you gotta go Ray. Like, he's the most well known, to be honest.
Yep.
And I think most of the ones they've brought into WWE haven't really done much of anything, even though if they've come from places where they've been successful, they haven't really seemed to break much ground within WWE, to be honest.
Yeah. Your least favorite wrestler
Least favorite, well, like ever?
if you had to go off the top of your head and you're like, yeah, him, I hate that person.
Controversially, CM Punk.
CM Punk, okay.
I don't like him as a person at all.
Okay.
I really agree with Seth Rollins in the fact that I think he is actually quite a big cancer on wrestling. I like the thing is, I did like him like back in the day, but just like since everything that's come out about that man, he just seems so negative, and it's just hard to look past. And fair play to him. I think it might have actually been AJ Styles. I saw an interview with him this week where he said that there was no love lost between him and CM Punk, but he expected it to be like a massive headache when he found out that he was part of the locker room. But he even said that, like, I was wrong. Like, he's actually been fun to be around and like is helping this business. And like, if that continues to like trend that way, great. But to me, he's just, I wouldn't want to work around him. Like, he just seems so fucking difficult to be around. And regardless of how you feel about him as a wrestler or anything like that, to me, as a person, I just can't vibe with somebody who's that toxic to be around.
That's fair. I appreciate your answer.
Hard hit on that one.
No, it was good. It was good. You hit the nail on the head. Like,
I'm gonna get loads of hate comments now.
No, I agree with what you said about Punk. As much as I love him as a wrestler, I've heard he's a very toxic person outside. He makes people not welcome in some aspects of things. Like, I've heard he tries being the locker room leader, and people like fuck you are.
Yeah.
So, I understand that. Again, he's not my worst favorite. My worst favorite. my worst wrestler.
Yeah.
But that's a good answer. And then the last question: your dream match with any two people, dead or alive?
to me, if it was just based on like solely the match, we weren't talking about like story going into it or anything like that. For me,
also, I'll throw in this as well. You can pick them at any time in their career as well, so it doesn't have to be Ric Flair now. You know, because everyone wants to see Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. That would be a great match.
Yeah. That's a really hard one, that one, to be honest. Especially like the whole breadth of wrestling ever.
Yeah, I know.
If it, like I say, if it was just based on just the wrestling itself, no like story lead up to it, I would want people that can tell me a story in the ring, like without anything else, just in the ring. Can they put together a match that I feel like I've been like entertained and also have been led on a journey through just that match alone? I legitimately would put Shinsuke in there because I love Shinsuke Nakamura. I have loved him since before he came to WWE, and I will continue to love him even though they drive that man into the ground. I would love to have him. I would probably also have I'd probably put like a Daniel Bryan in there, I would say, but not now. I think he's too edgy now. It'd have to be like it would have to be like peak Yes Movement Daniel Bryan.
Okay.
And then I'll probably put Sami Zayn in there as well.
Oh, really?
I think that'd tear the house down.
Yeah, that'd be a good match. Be interesting.
Yeah, to me, it's like I look at it as like the best technical wrestler there is going to be Daniel Bryan. He will put on a clinic. Shinsuke is going to be able to sell the shit out of everything, whether that will be taking hits or giving hits. He will have that charisma factor in the match. And Sami Zayn is like both of those people mixed together.
Yeah, that's good call. See, I have two. I have two matches.
Go on.
So mine would be like early 2000s Taker and Sting, like when he first emerged as the Crow gimmick.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call it. I'd love to have seen them two have an actual WrestleMania match. It was on the cards for so goddamn long, and then when we got Triple H versus Sting at Mania, I was very, very disappointed. Don't get me wrong, Taker and Sting were both very old. But we've seen that Sting can still kind of hold the ropes, and I think Taker could too. The only issue is with their age at that point is, again, it's like the Goldberg Taker match. When you have two older wrestlers in the ring, you're not going to get a quick pace match. It's very slow and kind of boring. So that's why I'd want the old Sting, old Taker to have their triumph match, which
that would have been
amazing.
That would have been sick.
And I would have, my second would be Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles.
What era Shawn Michaels though?
So I would say when he came, so just, you know when it's him versus Taker?
What,
so
25?
Yeah, so when he came down with the white...
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, so around then when Shawn was just getting to the end of his career in ring, I think he was probably at his peak, in my opinion. Some people probably disagree with me, but I think he'd put on some amazing matches because we had him versus Flair, then we had him versus Taker twice, which was brilliant. I think he definitely held his own. And again, Styles is my go-to favorite wrestler, but I definitely feel like them two would have put on like an amazing match.
I'd agree with that.
A lovely one to watch, but
yeah,
that's not happening.
To be honest, I think we could sit here theorise until we're blue in the face about like some of the better matches you could have.
Yeah,
but I think the Sting Undertaker one would have been good. Like back in the day, Attitude Era. What would you want? Would you want like American Badass Taker or like
Nah, Dead Man.
Dead Man? Cool.
Yeah, have to be the Dead Man.
I think that's the only one that would work in that context because
Yeah,
Sting's supposed to be
both-
like the badass in that equation.
Yep. I agree.
But I like those questions. They're good questions. They
Thank
made
you.
me think quite hard.
It took me a while to think of them, to be honest with you, but
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
you doing it.
no problem at all, mate.
Cool. Well, we got a little bit of news to talk about. There's not as much this week, to be honest. There's a little bit.
No.
I think the only real thing I properly wanted to hit on was just the releases, which we kind of discussed off podcast. Let's see if I can pull up the full list because there is a few on there. But yeah, Jinder Mahal was one of them,
Yep.
and like I said, I think it was like his people that was with him as well, wasn't it? That also got
Yes.
released.
Yeah.
Jia Lee, Zion Quinn, Jinder Mahal, and Jia Lee were unexpectedly let go.
Yeah.
But to be honest, have they really like been on the product all that much at the minute anyway? Like,
They haven't, but supposedly there's talk that Jinder left because on Twitter he literally just posted, "I quit, Jinder out."
yeah, I saw that.
So it's making people very skeptical on what's happened behind closed doors. So
Yeah,
I have to wait and see what
Yeah.
comes out and if anything does actually come out of it. But
I don't think it will, to be honest. I think, judging based off of that tweet, my initial takeaway was maybe the people around him were released and he just weren't digging it. It was just like, okay, I'm gone as well. But who knows? Like, regardless of the reasons why, they're all gone from the company now. I don't necessarily know where Jinder Mahal and stuff are going to end up. Probably AEW because that's just what they do. But
I hope not. I think Jinder would do very well in in TNA.
I could see that. But yeah, I don't know enough about the TNA product, to be honest. You're more of the TNA guy than me, to be honest.
It's just because TNA just, don't get me wrong, they have their signings, but there's just not as much talent in TNA. Like, they've just recently lost their like big tag team. So the Motor City Machine Guns didn't re-sign and now have left the company. And it's rumored that they've signed with AEW, and I'm not a fan of it. I feel like tag teams people are going to AEW more and more,
Yeah.
and I'm just not for it. I'm really not for it, and it's a shame. And I'm not going to be one again. It's going to sound like I'm just being a fanboy about the aspect of they should have went to WWE, but TNA sign so many people now these days that I feel like they just lose some of their talent because again, you've got people like Jake White that's just been sitting. No, not Jake. Jay White. Sorry, I think that's his name.
Yeah, Jay White.
No,
Yeah.
That was doing fairly successful in New Japan, and then's come over and I felt hasn't really made a mark within AEW. Yeah, he's the trios champ, but other than that, I'm just like, cool, I guess.
I feel like
And then,
AEW just hoover up talent, though, just so they don't go elsewhere.
yeah,
That's how it's always felt to me. And Jay White, like, yeah, he I remember the match that his fellow person he was with, I can't remember who it was, but they put on that match of FTR, and it probably is like one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. And that was just on like a weekly show, it wasn't on a pay-per-view or anything. And like, to me, that's where AEW like properly stands out, is within their actual wrestling. But yeah, it's hard to say like where that talent's going to end up, but if they do go to TNA, you'll know more about it than I do.
yeah.
So,
I'll keep you in the loop.
please do. But yeah, it sucks seeing people get let go, but I think it kind of speaks to maybe like a restructuring with what they're doing with WWE and whether certain talents actually speak to what they want to do moving forward. For me, I don't know. It shouldn't be taken personally. Like, it's just business. Like, I can understand somewhat where some of the discourse is coming from with like Jinder Mahal and stuff, where they're saying it's to do with how, you know, people of Asian representation aren't represented within the company, but I don't see it. Like, it's just business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I saw like a AEW Twitter fan page going, oh, it's just funny how it's all people of color. I'm like, I don't think they intended it just to be that. Like, I just feel like they're not using some of the talent, so they're like, well, there's no point in having them on payroll if they're just going to be sitting in catering. Like,
Yeah.
And WWE have been always known to have like, it's harsh as it says, because they have a clear out of talent that they don't use after Mania every single year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this isn't even going to be the first. I think that's the first of it. That's like the tip of the iceberg. Coming this week, they'll probably do some more. And it sucks because, again, there are people that will be losing their jobs. But being wrestlers, like, I feel like the people that have stood out the most to me since being let go are like Matt Cardona, also known as Zack Ryder. He's thrived in the indies. He's absolutely done
100%.
amazing. And it's good to see that he's doing so well because he was a good wrestler. Again, not a big fan of the gimmick that he had, but I appreciate the work that he put into the company. And the guys that LA Knight was managing, the male models, I can't remember the names. It's gonna bug me, but they're doing indie runs now, and they seem to be doing amazing because they're still working together, because they're still working as a tag team, and they're doing great. And it's lovely to see that, like, leaving WWE isn't the end all to be all. You can still succeed. Like, Dolph Ziggler, for instance, he's now I'll say in the indies. He's a part of TNA, and he's done New Japan work, and he's doing great. It's just it's amazing to see so much talent that has been let go, not just sitting there collecting dust. Like, there's one other one, Mustafa Ali. It's won his first singles title in 20 years, and saying that out loud is shocking because he was an amazing wrestler, and he should have been like a cruiserweight champion when they had that belt within WWE, or he should have been an intercontinental, just anything. He should have been a title holder in WWE, and the sheer fact that he wasn't, it's disgusting.
I think for me though, like, when you see stuff like that, especially when the wrestlers get kick off about the fact that they've been released and stuff like that, like, obviously you're not going to be happy that you've just lost your job, but why would you want to sit on a roster and do nothing? Like, if you love wrestling, would you not rather be let go so that you could go somewhere else and actually enjoy what you're doing? Like, to me, if you were happier sitting there just collecting a paycheck, that kind of speaks to the problem of maybe that might be why you were let go. One other thing I saw as well, just to do with Dolph Ziggler, actually, quickly, it was, someone asked him about how he felt about the whole like Cody situation, and he got like really bitter about it and was like, oh yeah, but there's loads of people that were like Cody and got misused, and like, it felt like he was trying to like say that it should have been him. And I was just like,
really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was on, but he got proper like bitter about it and was just really negative. And I was just like, why can't you just be happy for him? Like, yeah, you weren't exactly pushed the way that you should have been, but then so were so many others. Like, shouldn't you just see this as like, oh great, things are actually starting to change?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I forgot to mention it last week. But yeah, that really just hit me the wrong way. I was just like, there's no need to be like that. Like, just be happy for each other. But yeah, I don't think that what's happened is racially motivated whatsoever. I think it just happens to be circumstantial that's the case. I hope that not too many people get released, because obviously it sucks for people that lose their jobs. But like you say, it usually does happen pretty much every year that this does end up happening, where they'll release some people. But like I said, if I was in their situation, yeah, I think it would suck that you lost out on this big payday, but at least you now get to go somewhere else and do the thing that you claim to love more regularly.
Yeah, again, I agree. It's never the end all be all. Again, I keep saying that because I think that needs to be hit home. That a few years ago, when AEW wasn't a thing, talent, it was either going to Indies, New Japan, or TNA, and that's it. Now you've still got the Indies, because that's never going anywhere.
No.
You've got New Japan, now you've got TNA, you've got AEW. All of it's doing very, very well for itself. So
yeah,
just hopefully it keeps going the way it is.
Yeah, and I you know, we said about it earlier with the whole AEW thing and how it's good for the guys. Like, I really genuinely do hope that they turn that around. I really do. Because everybody needs that other product, because we said it last week, competition breeds success, and WWE need a competitor. And whether they decide to make that internal, like they did with the whole Ruthless Aggression and the whole reason they bought the draft out in the first place, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's probably a good thing to talk about, though, draft stuff, considering that's next week.
That is, isn't it? Oh shit, it's next. Wow.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten that it was next week until I'd finished SmackDown, and they were like, yeah, and then next Friday, the draft. And I was like, oh shit, that's actually really soon.
Yeah, I completely forgot that the draft is happening so soon.
Yeah, it feel like it's just come out of nowhere, though. It felt like they'd said that it was, in a month's time, but it's like,
and then it's like a surprise.
But
it's for a curveball at us.
Speculation then. So, if you could have anyone move on to any brand, what would you want to happen?
So I feel like Cody's going to go to Raw, and I feel like Judgment Day will move to SmackDown. I feel like they've done what they've needed to do in Raw, and it needs to be freshened up a bit. So, again, when Rhea does eventually come back, she can actually contest for the SmackDown title. But the only issue with that is if they're going to play the long game with Liv and wait the duration and then have a match between them two at SummerSlam, or if they're going to split Rhea up from the Judgment Day, who knows? It's hard. It's really hard to say because, again, it's next week. We still don't really know what's going on with the product, which is great. But again, it's like normally it's kind of predictable. I feel like we'll definitely have a champion swap in the aspect of Cody will move to Raw. Damian will go to SmackDown. With or without the Judgment Day, I'm not too sure yet. I definitely feel like the SmackDown tag team titles will go to Raw, and the Raw ones will move to SmackDown. So we'll get either the Awesome Truth or DIY to SmackDown, and then Street Profits, whatever their names are, the two boring guys.
A-Town Down.
That's the one. Them guys to Raw. And then I don't know about the Intercontinental and US titles. I feel like if they move all the titles, it'll be a bit weird because you're getting pretty much all the same champions from one product to another, and then
just switch it, isn't it?
Yeah. So I feel like the Intercontinental won't change. I feel like they'll stay on their respected brands. I feel like potentially the women's titles will stay on their respective brands as well. I feel like the tag and the world heavyweight titles will move.
Yeah,
That's my prediction of it.
I don't know. I might disagree with the world heavyweight and the WWE swapping. The only reason I say that is I can't remember when it was, but there was something to do with when Cody came out or something on Raw, and he said about how I'm going back to SmackDown, and he said, "And don't worry, I'm not going anywhere." That kind of made me go, are you staying
Yep.
here then? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he does that though. Like I feel like he gets away with it sometimes, where he actually kind of does say things that he probably shouldn't,
Yeah.
and seems to manage to get away with it. But I wouldn't be shocked if that does end up being the case, and he does stay on SmackDown. In terms of anything else, like I just want to go along for the ride. I love draft day. I think it's fun.
I agree.
You just kind of you theorize until you're blue in the face, but like you just don't know, and the possibilities for what that then sets up storyline wise, like to me, maybe this last couple of weeks post Mania have felt a little bit empty because they're playing the long game story wise in terms of what they're going to be planning for after the draft. So wherever they put in that stopgap had to be somewhat vapid and short because the bigger stories
not going to be there for
after
long.
this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it's hard to say though, like, because if one person of a faction moves, like they kind of have to all move, like
Yeah.
like with the bloodline stuff that's going on at the moment. Like, is Tamatonga gonna have a draft spot? Will he be up in the draft? Like, do you know? It's hard to say. But then, is it going to be? If one of them moves, are they all going to go over? Like, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, you kind of have to. Like, if they come out and say, "Oh, Solo Sikoa's going to Raw," you're like, "Okay, well, everyone is."
Are they all going to Raw? Yeah.
Because there's no way they're going to then split him off, like with everything that's going on. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to go on the journey for it. I think part 1 is on the SmackDown this week, and then I think the next bit is the Raw, not tomorrow, but the week after.
Yeah.
So that's exciting though. I've been looking forward to the draft. I'm not going to lie, because I do like the drafts.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting to see who goes where, what they do, and how they play it out. Because again, this is pretty big. It's going to be pretty big regardless. The drafts always are big.
Yeah, I think the timing's really good as well, with the whole new era stuff. I think a lot of this week and probably moving into next week as well, it's definitely starting to feel like they're really kicking off and getting things moving with the new dynamic and the new feel of the program. Like I think this week, especially the SmackDown, in weird ways did feel like Attitude Era all over again.
Yeah.
But in like the best way possible.
I agree.
I know that some people who are new coming to wrestling and stuff like that, they're not going to get that, but I think they'll still understand that it feels different, and they'll still get that sense of, oh, we are actually moving in a new direction now. And I think it to me, it leads to the fact that eventually this is coming off of network TV. Like, with it going on Netflix and stuff like that, they're going to be able to get away with so much more. And was it just Raw that got announced as being on Netflix, or was it SmackDown as well?
Just Raw.
I thought it was.
It's just Raw.
But then that makes it weird that they decided to do what they did this week on SmackDown, of all things. Like, I know we're so far away from that as of yet, but I feel like if this is where they're kicking things off from, surely it's just going to get more brutal as we go along.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
Yeah, it's just we said it last week, but for me, it's like a really interesting time to be a wrestling fan again. Like it feels like so much is happening at the moment.
Yeah, it's nice. It's actually refreshing to be a fan of the product, whether it be AEW, TNA, WWE, or New Japan. It's nice to be able to see that wrestling's thriving again. I've had people at my work that have not watched wrestling at all know that The Rock came back and know that Roman Reigns had a hefty long title reign and stuff like that. It's interesting to see how much it's kind of gone done like a 180 in the aspect of a few years ago you would hardly ever hear a casual person go, oh yeah, you know, wrestling's coming up tomorrow, and now it's quite more vocal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anyone around me that would ever come up to me and talk to me about wrestling. But I feel like just by feel alone, it's definitely felt much more in like the public zeitgeist, more so than it has done for years and years and years and years. Not that Mania every year isn't big, but like this year just felt bigger.
Yeah, that they needed to go bigger. Felt this year again. They reiterated that it's the Paul Levesque era, and I felt like since Paul's taken over the company, it's become really good. I'm loving the product more than I've ever loved it.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just a very exciting time to be wrestling fans.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably going to do it for today. To be honest, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Much shorter than last week.
Yep, it is. It is. At least it's not a 3-hour one for the consumer, you know.
No.
At least I can actually get
just
some
two.
sleep.
Just 2 this time. But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll probably try and get this out on Monday when you will get your hands on it. We are recording on the Sunday before. But yeah, hopefully it will be with you on the Monday. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
See you later, guys. Have a good one.
See you later, guys.